Hello, my friends. I thought that I would take some time tonight to do a vlog for you because I haven't checked in a while. Oh, just because it's just been delightful. Just been delightful. I've been so much engaged with things in the nearby community as the summer season starts up again and involved with things at church that I really haven't had computer time. I certainly haven't had much in the way of video and uploading time. So I wanted to do a vlog for you. It's probably going to be a hodgepodge over several days' time. I downloaded the stuff off my camera just a few minutes ago because in all honesty I didn't know what was in it. Because it's gone back over a bit of time. And I have that here so I can look at it so that I can bring some alignment to what I say and what I'll share in the way of pictures. And actually there are quite a bit in the way of tiny moments. That rain that I talked about the last time, it continued and it continued, and basically 3 weeks or so it continued. And then we had 2 glorious days. Oh, it was kind of a day and a half, but the fact that you could get out meant that accounted for 2. So I do have some of that to share with you, the experience of being out when it was glorious. But before I get to that, Thursday, no, it was Friday, the last of the rainy days, at least temporarily the last of the rainy days, my friend Yolanda and I went out to do a little let's say charity shop, consignment shop shopping, specifically to a place that she really likes to go that I'd never been. So she took me to this place. It's cute. It's all called Sequels. And it's all consignment, so of course it's all things that have had a previous story, but it's not sequels spelled the normal way. It's S-E-A quills. So sequels. Sequels by the bay, by the ocean, actually. This was over in Ocean City in Maryland, which is within a half an hour of here. And we went to wander. She and I are really good when we go places like that. We wander and we may or may not come home with anything. I did come home with some things. So as I've been talking, I hope I have been putting in a couple pictures I took while we were in Sequels. And it's a wonderful mishmash of things. It's actually also a mishmash of prices, most of which are far beyond Yolanda and I's means. We both have budgets that don't allow for just buying things right and left, but it also has hidden gems. And I came home with a couple of them, actually. I came home with this basket, which replaced a smaller basket that I had on the back of this very piece of furniture before. I came home and it was quite the bargain. I don't remember what, my friends. I'm not good at remembering. That's just now how my brain works. It was, I could tell you, very inexpensive, or it wouldn't have come home with me. And then I got this, which it's kind of a decorative birdhouse, shabby chick lighthouse kind of thing. And I really loved it. It was, I remember, particularly inexpensive. I think I got it for $5. And then something I spent a few bucks on. I think I spent $30 on this, which in our house, that's a big deal. And this piece says, "And then the stars came out over the summer sea." And I've misremembered what it says because it's actually sitting on the other side of the room from me. I will correct that and put it in here. But if you didn't see anything, well then, I said it right. And then the stars came out over the summer sea, or a summer sea. That phrase caught my attention. I need to Google it to find out if it came from a poem or something that I should have known. If it did, I'll put that information here. It may just be someone had a very creative thought. It's going over our front door as you come in our house. So it was a beautiful ride to and from before the weekend, so it wasn't terribly busy with tourists yet. We're starting to get the time of the year here where you don't go to the beach resorts on the weekends because it's getting very busy, and that's really good because our economy here basically is tourists. So we need their visits in the summertime. So that was wonderful. And the fact that I actually bought something, which I don't always do, was also wonderful. And spending time with my friend, of course. Do I sound like that commercial on TV? Priceless. Yes, absolutely priceless. It was a good way to spend a rainy day. While we were there, we stopped because it was close by to a little store that I like to go to. It's one of those places that, do you all have places you go to that you know you'll never buy at because they are more of a boutique kind of thing that's far out of your price range? That's what this wonderful wild bird place is. I just love it. I love being inside it. I love the woman who runs it has amazing energy. She has a 20-year-old cat who's always sitting on the counter. I was surprised to see her because last year I said goodbye to her. Ooh. She's still here. But the picture that I'm showing you, if it's one or two pictures, is the inside. Oh, not the inside, the outside, the entry, the front porch to it. I actually did buy something there because it's where I found the hummingbird feeders that I particularly like a couple of years back. And while I can order them online, the price they carry on those things, actually, by the time I order it and pay shipping, I could get it as inexpensively there and not have to worry about the glass breaking in transit. So that was a wonderful day. I can't think of too much else that, like wandering around and doing things I've been doing. I've just been, I guess I've been immersed up to my eyeballs in me stuff, just doing what I want to do. Taking walks in between the storms, which has been pretty common. Working a lot of time at this point, and it will change so it doesn't frustrate me, in the Weight Watchers program. I want to keep up the astounding results I had in my first week. Have I checked in with you since I did that? I know I checked in on Facebook. I just did an amazingly good first and now second week of Weight Watchers. I'm not finding it at all difficult. I'm not eating anywhere near the points I'm supposed to, which is all right. And it's all right by Weight Watchers too, at least with my Weight Watchers counselor. The things that have been standing out in my memory that have been the most challenging is in a day's time how much I used to eat of dairy products. So cheese or sour cream or salad dressings that are mayonnaise or milk based. And they have been a challenge to take out of my diet because they're all very high points. And I kind of like, they were part of my diet. That's all there is to it. They were there several times every day. So it's been interesting. We had salad when we ate out for dinner tonight. And Weight Watchers, by the way, is causing us no problems with our habits of eating out pretty regularly. And in fact, I don't broil things like seafood well. I always tend to have it underdone or overdone, so eating out does well for us. And tonight we had a broiled seafood plate and salad. And I used the old Weight Watchers trick I knew from the 70s, which is instead of putting dressing on my salad, I dipped my fork in the dressing and then into the lettuce and ate it. And probably didn't even use a tablespoon of dressing for the entire salad, and it was a big one. So all those tricks that worked for me the first time in my 30s, late 20s, early 30s, are coming back to mind. Although the program itself is so drastically different, so much more healthy, so much, well, it just makes a lot more sense than the old program did. At least when you're coming at it from the perspective of health. I don't know how a younger person would feel about the fact it no longer encourages, if there's something you want bad that's not particularly good for you and high in points, just save your points and go for it. Because the new program encourages you to eat healthy and to stay away from that kind of thing. So I wonder when I was younger if I would have found it as rewarding as I do now. It suits me perfectly fine now because it is so healthy. So I'm spending a lot of time still planning meals, cooking meals, because probably we are home 4 nights a week and maybe we're out with friends 3 nights a week. So I'm doing a lot of time cooking and food prep and shopping and planning and keeping track of, because I keep track of on a daily basis. They give you these every week to track your points in, and it won't surprise you that I'm doing that because it's something I can take with me to meetings very easily. So if I have any questions about the week or anything that I did, I can talk to my counselor. But I've also started my own Weight Watchers private journal where I journal emotions and challenges and how I felt about things. The challenge last week, remember it was drumming the first week? Last week it was 2 things on my challenges list. The first was the last ladies' luncheon here where I live for the season was at a restaurant I did not know and could not find a menu online for, so I had to make decisions there that were the correct ones. It ended up working out fine. They had crab cakes and I was able to work that in just fine, and actually it was a very good lunch. But it was a challenge because it was unknown. If you're going to someplace you've always known, you can make decisions in advance what you're going to eat. And the other thing I put down as a challenge for myself was the first week had gone unexpectedly well. With, in all honesty, what I consider to be a huge weight loss for the first week. And I was worried that a challenge to the second week would be letting myself be too secure in that and not taking the second week as seriously as I should. And that doesn't seem to have happened. In fact, I think because I declared it could be a challenge, I think that, excuse me, I'm trying to add the pictures to my desktop so that I can look at the pictures and tell you some other things that have been going on. So I was a little distracted there and I apologize for that. So actually I found that I was actually hyper attentive to the second week. Meditation, monthly meditation was this week, and I have to admit it went very, very well. The first time everything gelled and clicked. Interestingly, there were 2 folks who decided to leave it, which of course we were disappointed about. Oh, it still left plenty of us, but it ends up being, and it's nothing against them, the energy fit seems to be rather perfect the way it is now. So you never know how things will work out. But the person who kind of held the space for us this time has taught belly breathing, breathing deep within the diaphragm and filling our bodies correctly with air. And so he brought that to us, and it was actually a really good exercise. And then we did a 20-minute breathing. In all honesty, when he said we were going to breathe, counting our breaths for 20 minutes, I thought, oh crap, Next thing I know, the 20 minutes was done. So it was it was good. I actually learned a couple of new things. I'm self-taught basically on meditation. I don't know a lot about it except for what I do. And he talked about the importance of your jaw being at ease when you are meditating. So your teeth shouldn't be touching, because if your teeth are touching, it means your muscles aren't engaged, which means they're not as relaxed as they could be. And I have to admit there was a huge difference for me in where I went in a meditative sense, breathing, with a relaxed mouth, with the teeth not touching. It was huge for me. And really amazingly, almost life-changingly huge to try that difference. And the other thing is, I tend to meditate best faced with a candle, because when I close my eyes, I get kind of a restless eye syndrome. And his suggestion was, if you have bouncy eyes, that when you close your eyes in meditation, that focus your eyes downward as if you were looking down, even though of course you can't see, and it tends to relax the eye muscles. And that was really very helpful too. So that was really, really good. And last night we went to a variety show at a local Methodist church. And that is because many of our community members that we are very close to and very fond of are part of that church. And so the energy of that church is very common here in our neighborhood. And Raj and I and a couple that are friends of ours decided that we wanted to go to support our friends, and also because a lot of our friends were going to be performing in it. And it was adorable is what it was. Like many church communities here, it's mostly senior citizens. And it was a couple of hours of variety and entertainment, most of which were lip-synced, and most of which were lip-synced to everything from big band era to the Beatles. Their pastor and his wife, who, shockingly to me, is my Weight Watchers counselor. When I saw her up on stage, I was like, I know her. And she's my Weight Watcher counselor. And my friend sitting next to me who goes to that church said, and she's our pastor's wife. She was Cher, and a mighty pretty Cher, I have to say. It was just 70-year-olds and older doing amazing jobs, mostly lip sync, although there were some live acts. Lots of laughter and just, I felt like I was in a way in another time, a simpler time. There was a couple of call out or reach outs too that had to do with the outreach work of their church, and I don't blame them for that. I am sitting in their building after all. It was done very nicely though, and from a place of love. I didn't feel uncomfortable at all. Oh, maybe for a moment when they said that anyone who hadn't found their way to Jesus, could they be inspired through the energy of the room to find their way there? And I'm like, nope, no thank you. Thank you very much, no, in my head. It was wonderful. We saw neighbors that we know sing and dance to some of the numbers. It was a wonderful night out, and it's just, all I could think of is never would I have experienced something like this where we used to live. It was so quaint. I told Roger it felt like we were in a Norman Rockwell moment, an extended Norman Rockwell moment. It was absolutely delightful. Oh, what else do I have to share? We went over to the beach a couple of days ago in the middle of this week, as we say, to check and make sure the ocean is still there. Also, while the parking is still free and you can get to the ocean with no problem, because within the next couple of weeks I'll start mostly going to the national parks and the seashore parks because we have passes for that. Because parking gets very expensive. Any place else you can access the ocean as time goes by and the summer begins and the parking meters go back in our little towns. So yeah, we checked and the ocean was still there. And in fact, that ocean was as calm as I've ever seen it. In fact, I might even be able to, we'll see what happens, I might be able to keep the audio on in the videos, which I can't normally do because of the interference wind causes my camera.
Good ship out there. Big one.
It's really foggy out there too, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it was very peaceful, very quiet, and it was wonderful because people were starting to fill back up the boardwalk again. And we do go to the beach, the one I'm sharing the pictures of in the summertime, but we tend to we go to a park and ride and then take a bus in, which might sound silly. It's only 15-20 minutes from us, but that way there's no parking involved and there's no dealing with the traffic and stuff, and you can just hop the bus in and out, and it makes a lot more sense. And it was a beautiful night, the night we went in to check and make sure that the ocean was still there. It was very, very late afternoon. That's when you'll see these pictures that I've taken. And that night we spent a lot of time just sitting. It was the first night in a long time that it was warmer than 60. And we spent a lot of time just sitting on the porch. It was just very, very peaceful. And we had this past week's been a lot of that, to tell you the truth. That's where I've been for most of the week, is in Peaceful Zone. And then I have a lot of pictures I will share in the tiny moments of the beautiful days that ended up popping out as yesterday, late in the day yesterday, and then through today. I'm going to place this picture here because I love these guys. These are double-breasted cormorants, and we keep seeing them at a local golf course. and didn't know what they were at first. We do see cormorants here, but not with the white chests. And they just line up along the edge of this golf course water hazard, and they just look like little soldiers. They're usually spaced out evenly. I don't know how they were caught in this picture, but these are double-breasted cormorants. And then, my friends, this started happening. This is a storm front. This started coming in about 6 o'clock tonight. We're on the way back from dinner. It has since actually passed through. It was rather dramatic for about an hour and a half here, and then it quieted back down. We're going to have a couple of nice days again. That storm front was really, really interesting. It's the kind that any minute, the way it comes up and the 20-degree drop in the temperature and the sudden increase in the winds, you're kind of like waiting for hail and maybe bad vortexes, you know, the funnel cloud or tornado kind of clouds that there was no warning that came with this storm, though. We don't get a lot of tornado warnings here, tornado watches here. But it was that kind of drama to the front. And I hope some of the pictures that I took, even some video I took when we got back to our neighborhood, shows how wonderfully dramatic it was. Now it's peaceful on the other side. Not a leaf is stirring. The birds are back to just singing, and it's a peaceful night. But the temperature stayed down on the other side of it, so I think we're inside for the night. A little too cool to sit on the porch. I didn't really have anything else to share with you. I did think that I didn't share when I vlogged last that Mother's Day this year was interesting for me. It's normal where we live that when you go out to eat on Mother's Day, of course, people are taking their mothers out. I have taken women who I looked to for guidance and nurturance out to dinner plenty of times over the years. I'm all for Mother's Day, folks, don't get me wrong. It, for me, has been the power of acknowledging women who were as mothers to me as the most important aspect of it. Because I have been mothered most powerfully by a woman who did not give birth to me, even though I have a good relationship at this point in my life with my mother by birth. This year, like every other year, most places you went, if they saw a woman, they would give her a rose and say Happy Mother's Day. And you wouldn't think that would be the end of the world, would you? But it became rather traumatic for me. Go be honest about it. It took me to a place that I went to rather unexpectedly. I had some thoughts recently. I was fortunate enough to be stepmom to my stepson Jamie from when he was about 6 months old to when he was 10. Unfortunately, him and his dad, me and his dad didn't make it through our marriage, so it ended then. But I had delightful years raising truly a blessed and wonderful young being. I've also had the good fortune over the years to have daughters and sons of friends of mine who, when it came to their teen years, needed a step away from their home situation, and they spent time with me, time from weekends to months, in one case a year. So I have had the opportunity to be as a mother to some very, very special young people in my life. But I've not given birth to my own child. not easy for me to face early on. In honesty, I only ever wanted a family and children. I had no desire for a career, even though I ended up having to have one. But I carried 5 babies to a certain point in my pregnancies. I lost them all. And recently, Raj and I were talking about the fact that not that having children guarantees you anyone to look out for you in your old age, but having a family or an extended family, and of course having children or those who are as children to you, you enter into senior years with a little bit of a different attitude. Just feeling that network of support of those who have got your back and who will watch out for you, who are younger and stronger and will be there when you get to the point you're needing help. And we were having a conversation that at the back of our minds, our very senior years do bother us because neither one of us has that. Something about having had that conversation recently and then being handed a rose on several occasions on Mother's Day when we were out. I kept going to the zone of all the babies that I had who didn't make it into the world when I was carrying them. And boy, it took me to a very emotional place, my friends. It really took me to an emotional place. I didn't regret or resent Mother's Day. Like I said, it has been a very powerful experience for me. Sharing it with children I mentored, sharing it with women who mothered me in many ways. But this snuck up on me this year. It snuck up on me this year. The assumption that if you're my age, you have children and grandchildren. And my own assumption when I was young that of course I would. But of course I would. And then this little conversation that's been part of Roger and I's aging, that what happens 10 or 15 or if we're lucky 20 or 25 years from now to couples like us that don't have extended family. We can assume we have community and support in a wider sense, but that's different than what you feel surrounding you now that you know you're going to take into your senior years. We've seen so many abandoned seniors in our contacts in our community and the wider area that we're part of. And some have good support from non-family members, and some are doing their best to make it through their declining years on their own, and it's not an easy thing. So Mother's Day, that brought some interesting ups and downs for me. Memories of the women who have nurtured me and guided me. And there were many of them that I could sit with that night and light a candle for. But it's been a long time since I have sat in mourning for the babies that passed through and away from me, who did not become a part of my physical life in this experience of living. I didn't want to say that in my last video because it was too close to Mother's Day and I didn't want to kind of throw a cast over Mother's Day, which I still honor and appreciate very, very much. It was just, I wanted to share with you because I know enough of some of your lives to know you probably have some of the same thoughts that I had in response to what I was already dealing with and then having roses thrust at me throughout the day. I didn't bring any of them home. I have to admit they stayed in local trash cans or whatever, but they didn't come home with me. I read later that deer really, really love roses, and I thought, I should have brought the roses back and then laid them under the tree out front where the deers often come to eat corn here at night. I made an offering of them. Well, I've yathered on long enough that I think what I'll do is I'm going to make my Tiny Moments video a separate one. I said I was going to do it the last time, and then I never did it, did I? I apologize for that. I think I ended up putting a couple of pictures on Facebook and left it at that. Everything is just so good right now, my friends. I don't mean to disconnect from the cyber world. It's not the only place I've disconnected from because there's just a few chosen places that I'm so present to at the moment, including the tiny moments with myself. But I haven't been as present here as I have been. Oh, that's a passing thing. It'll come and go. I hit half-hour mark because my camera went off. But today at least I could settle down to check back in, share a little bit of what it's been like here, the joy of the moments, and separately a tiny moments video. I hope you are all well, my friends. Have you seen the first signs of summer turning in? Have you seen, let's try that again, the first signs of spring turning into summer where you are? What's bringing you your greatest joy right now? To me, it's been long walks and quiet evenings after the neighborhood has gone to sleep, sitting on my own front porch. Those times generally shared with Roger. Goodbye for now, my friends.